Welcome to the Full Tactical Range by Range Systems. I'm Beau Doboszenski, and this is your Drill of the Week. In this week's Drill of the Week, we're going to continue our exploration of shooting on the move. We're going to add one wrinkle though. This time we're going to add cover and concealment. Now, there's a difference between cover and concealment. We've talked about this before. Cover is something that will actually stop a bullet, where concealment only screens you from the threat. To do our concealment here today, I've just hung a couple of the target backers backwards so that they're not recognized targets. And I have another one over here in lane 1. So I have one in lane 3, one in lane 1, and I have my target that I'm going to be using as my threat target at 20 to 15 to 20 feet away. You can make it closer or further back depending upon your skill level and how hard you want to work. When we're working with cover, remember that we have this fulcrum point. That fulcrum point is the space, if you think about wheeling or pieing around the cover, that you would rotate around. We have to be considerate that the fulcrum point runs all the way down to the ground and then runs in an infinite line back at the angle of our vision. What that means is I want to be very cognizant of exposing portions of my body to my threat that I didn't intend to do so. When we're utilizing this cover or concealment too, remember, don't be too close up on the cover. We don't want to hug it in really, really tight, even though we're going to feel very comfortable doing so. By getting in too close, you extremely limit your field of vision to your left and your right, meaning your threat has a lot of left-right mobility and you have very, very little. If possible, you'd like to make it the opposite. By pulling back, you now have a much broader ability to see left to right, and their movement laterally to your cover or concealment becomes much more limited. Advantage you. So we're going to get ourselves set up just like we were normally using cover. I'm monitoring where that line would be so my threat can't actually see me at this point. From here, my full presentation position, I'm going to decide to move from piece of cover number 1 to piece of cover number 2. When I do this, I'm now going to engage the target downrange in 3 shots. So I set up, in position, start to move. I gauge him in 3 shots. I get all the way over to the other side. And once again, I'm considerate of my fulcrum point and my angle and making sure that I am utilizing that cover and concealment correctly. So get yourself your handgun magazine of 6, work right to left. And if you work that way, then of course work left to right so that you can do this in both directions. Let's get started. Remember that we're talking about the technique of shooting on the move. Whether we do shooting on the move or not in any kind of a defensive encounter is entirely situationally dependent. That dependent on what the situation is, we like to call that a tactic. So a technique is how something is done. A tactic is when or why would it be done. It may not be useful for you to go and move between 2 pieces of cover or concealment shooting on the move. You may instead want to engage in some cover fire and then simply run to that next piece of cover or concealment as quickly as you can. That's a viable tactic. What we're working on though today is being able to, should I have that tool in my toolbox that I can engage a target downrange with accurate fire while in motion. So practice this, start up by working dry like always, and then enjoy yourself on the range doing it. It's a great drill, lots of fun, and we'll see you in the next Drill of the Week. Like what you saw? Subscribe to my YouTube channel and keep checking out the training blog for more tips and drills.